friends, my name is Kat and welcome back to my channel. Today, we will be going on an emerald eyes journey as I explain how to save a messy look that just isn't really going anywhere. I'm just sweeping a light rosy mauve into my crease and also bringing that through right to the edge of your nose bridge. I'm also gently flicking that shade up towards my temples, right past my eyebrow. I'm also taking a finger and swiping up just to clean that up a little bit. That's that lazy way to do it. And using a brown pencil, I gently sketch out my nose contour. I like to do this step before foundation or concealer, and I also like to do this with a pencil because you have a little bit more control. I'm also taking that pencil and drawing just under my cheekbones, and then very, very lightly blending, always moving in upwards motions, never tugging the skin too hard. The idea is to be mindful of how you interact with your skin and treat it with kindness and like it's delicate.
Also, I'm an upper lip sweater.
Regrettably, this is not the last time you will see me mop my upper lip. I'm taking a shimmery cream green and using a clean brush before I realize that the fingies will actually do a much better job. See there, there's the pigment. There she is.
Still gotta work for it a little bit though.
And I'm just gently patting that in with my ring finger. See, the one problem with using your fingies is they get dirty. But there's a solution. You wipe it off. With a sparkly green, I am setting and going over that cream color in hopes of more pigment. Because at this point, I'm just like,
wipe.
This was one of those points when I was like, wow, this look really isn't as cute as I thought it would be in my head. But I'm trucking on and I'm taking a light green and putting that in the inner third of my eye. And I'm taking a darker green and then emphasizing that slight wing that goes right from the edge of my eyebrow up to my temple and blending that through my crease all the way to where the initial contour met my nose bridge. I find the best way to blend, especially when a look is floundering like I am right here, is really light tapping motions and always push the pigment slightly upwards. And you can see even here I applied the pigment, this black shade, like unevenly in the crease, but as I blend it evens out. And I also do a little swipe a wipe with my fingy to gently liberate my brow bone from the blackish green, because that's not super cute. There's almost always a way to save the look and just work in small increments with small amounts of pigment with small changes. Here I'm taking that black shade again on the other eye and applying that to that outer V and gently flicking it up, but also blending that into the crease. Excuse me, ma'am, that is too much perspiration for your activity level, which is 0. I'm then taking that bright, let's call it a statement green, and popping it right in the center for that green highlight. And I'm also taking like my little edge brush that I like to use for details and also little patchwork repairs. So I'm just sharpening the crease and the outer V with just a tiny itty bitty little bit of black. I'm then taking a fluffy brush that I purposely did not clean because I want those previous green colors to help blend and run those little markings that we have from the itty bitty brush and make it look like that's what we got the first time. So now that I've done smaller repairs, I'm going in with the shades that I need to darken, which is dark green and that black color that we used before, and I'm reworking that outer V and outer flick. I like to do this with my fingies again because pigment. I'm just highlighting my brow bone and it also just brings the blend together. I recommend a strong brow highlight. If you're like having an iffy blend, it's just like not super working out, you can do a really bright shimmer shade and it will mask a great multitude of sins, I promise you. And now again with my detail brush, I am darkening the lash line and just strengthening that V. That in the crease, out, and then join with that wing. A lot of back and forth involved in fixing a look. Sometimes I feel that a finger can just do things that a brush can't. Like, that's just why you see me randomly using my fingers. Just make sure you keep your hands clean, please. They're just surveying the scene. Looks pretty even right now. Just doing a few touch-ups. And I'm loading up in that green color we put in the center, and then a single spritz of setting spray, and look at the pigment. That's what I wanted. And now I'm just taking an even lighter green than I was using and just pressing that with like the rest of the leftover wetness of the brush, but be careful to not like mess up your eyeshadow pan. Very easy to do that. I'm just doing mascara here for the sake of darkening the lashes because I'm about to put on falsies. I do happen to have a separate mascara trick when I'm just wearing it with my naked lashes, but that'll be a different video. Lash time! This glue does the job. Oh god, it's so old. Don't use old things. I use them because I'm lazy. The one thing with this particular lash glue is it gets really stuck in my lashes. And that is not something I enjoy. I use coconut oil at night to take off my makeup, and even with that, it's like, to get it off. Now that the glue is nice and tacky, I am sticking it on corner first. I like to try to get it to like a natural corner, but also a comfortable corner. Oh, isn't that nice? By comfortable corner, I mean somewhere where you can wear it that it doesn't bother your tear duct too much, because sometimes the band can poke your tear duct. Also, what you just saw was my quick little spoolie trick of getting my eyelashes down all the way flush with my lash line. Here again, very light pressure, careful not to scratch any actual skin or ruin our lovely artwork, but also brushing the two lash lines together. I used to have difficult skin back in high school, but it's been pretty stable for a while now, so I don't like to use a lot of foundation. In fact, I just got back into it after not using it for several years, only using concealer. But I think that a very small amount just kind of evens out the color, especially when you have such a strong eye. It balances the face. I'm very light and deliberate with my patting. Doing a little blush-a-hush-a-mush with really light tapping. Just pop, 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 until it looks okay. That's literally all. It's a very easy blush to apply. It's very nice. Fingies at the ready, and concealer. I don't like to put too much because I don't like when my skin texture is changed by the amount of makeup that's on it. That's just something I'm not a fan of texture-wise. It feels icky. I'm also using the concealer. I'm dabbing it in the areas and just sharpening the edge of the makeup without actually having to like wipe any extra and actually have to put more concealer than I needed. Oh, that reminds me. You'll notice that I didn't put any concealer on my nose. That is because I'm just putting it right to like the edge line. Do you remember the last point that we put contour for, right at the bridge of the nose? That's the line that you should be blending your concealer and foundation to. At least that's what I'm doing. And then in a second, I am about to powder, and I will be emphasizing that. You see, I like go right outside the edge of my contour line. Same thing for under my cheekbones. I put powder, a large amount of powder in places that I want to be brighter. Nonchalantly close your powder, and back to the eyes for a little bit. I'm using that super light green highlight, green reflex highlight, and using that in my inner corner, a shimmery green on the outer edge, and then I'm packing that gold and tilting my head so I don't get, or minimal fallout. Putting that right under my eye to meet the two colors and blending that. Now I'm just defining our little green Neapolitan under eye. Each color I want to be defined. I want that shimmer to go all the way up until where the wing starts, that black wing starts to peek out from your lash line. I'm also bringing that gold just slightly under the tear duct shade because I really like to emphasize that under eye bag. I think it makes my eyes look bigger. I'm taking that lightest shimmer and I'm just putting it just under the crease, so the highest point of the green pigment. And it creates this three-dimensional sort of look, just re-emphasizing the highlights. Very specific about my highlights. Little dance. And it wouldn't be a look if I didn't fill in my little freckle. I feel a little naked without it. And I'm very careful because it's my under eye, so very light motions. And I also don't want to splay the brush out. I want a perfect circle, so I'm very light. Continuing that shading under my tear duct and also shading the tip of my nose again. Now I'm brushing off that bake, light upward motions, careful not to disturb any of the work underneath. And also careful not to disturb any dry skin. And if you find your nose contour is still visible, you can just take your beauty blender and just pat that powder that was already there on it. Alrighty, I'm just going for under eye mascara. Not super great at that. As you can see, I already have a few spots. But afterwards, I take a spoolie and I brush upwards, brush the lashes away from the skin to get rid of the clumps and also fluff them up. And just a little bit of extra contour there, a little bit on my nose again. I like to go back and forth, see what looks best. And now, the highlight. I like to really pack this one on. It is not a very highly pigmented one. It is more of like a chalky luminescence, which works really well for me because I'm very pale, so it's kind of like coverage almost. But it sharpens up that line and also just dews up my skin a little bit. I like to do highlighting in layers, so like a really light layer. This is my base. And then I'm gonna go back. This is the next layer, a little bit of gold. And then I'm just patting that down with a clean brush for a natural finish. And then on the very tippy tops of my cheekbones, I'm just putting a little bit of that luminescent green that we put under our brows and in our inner corner, just to tie everything together. I'm even taking my fingers and putting it a little bit up in my temples. Use an extremely light hand if you're gonna use fingers on top of a highlight because it's very easy to disturb the foundation underneath. And finally, setting spray. I like to completely wet my face and then dry it with something nearby. This just sort of melts everything together. Lippy time. I'm rather deliberate with this, but I like to make kind of like a McDonald's arch for my Cupid's bow, if you want to think about it like that, like an M. And then I drag down, and then I fill in. And then the same arch for the M. And then I drag down and fill it in. I like to work slowly, check as I go, and make sure everything's even. Short, small strokes, and believe, and have hope. And it'll turn out fine. Can you sense I'm about to do my hair? Because that ain't it. Et voila! This is the final look. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it helpful in some way. As of right now, I'm posting Mondays and Wednesdays, so keep tuned for more content like this and for the continuation of my Twisted Tales series next week. Thank you so much. Toodles!